Hey YouTube, it's Graxy. Welcome back to the channel. Here's Season 8 begins on September 12th. And with that, we're going through all of our build guides from Season 7, updating them for the new patch. In today's video, we're going to be checking out the starter and progression guide for the Boner Frag, Boner Storm, Demonspawn. This guide will help you league start this character as well as get it to early game to help you start farming new items. That way you can progress into the mid-game as well as the end game. We are live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. Going through all of these guides. I got a lot left to do. So we're doing this with the boys. They're fishing and stuff. So say hi, everybody. Let's get into it, right? If you've never played a Demonspawn before, it's pretty simple. Pretty simple. Our main ability is going to be Bone Storm. We just put a storm around us, a vortex. This will hit enemies. You'll get these cartilage stacks that will stack up on enemies that will pop. That does damage in an AoE. Right, the augment that we're using currently that makes this last forever. So I'm handless. I can just walk around, run into stuff. There's also the ability to use Blood Surge. This will help us with getting some additional clear. Right, a lot of AoE on this character. You could change this into some different stuff as well. If you want a bit more quality of life with it, you could run like the Bloodline so that it's wrong one. Like this one, so it'll no longer expire. So you could technically run this with your Bone Storm, and I'm not doing anything. It's all automated. So if you get to a point where you have enough damage where you feel like, you know, this is an option for you, by all means, you can play this build fairly automated, right? Now, there are some other skills that are available. Bone Fragments is going to be our main single target skill. This just has a bunch of bones that get thrown out in front of you, right? You can get additional ones. So this is what we'll be using to kill bosses with. As well as we have Blood Bolts. We could use this as a way to debuff enemies, right? I'll have that all available in the guide. But this is what we use to get a nice little trail on the ground for debuffing, right? So it's just a one button click. And last but not least, we have Bone Barrage, right? Bone Barrage is something that hasn't really been played in a while, but it did receive some buffs this season with some of the new items. I think we're going to be seeing a return to Bone Barrage. You can play it even early on. It's actually quite good with in terms of AoE and the coverage and everything that it has on it. It also does shotgun, right? I can like sheesh. It also does shotgun. I have a lot of cast speed on this character, so with a lot of that other extra stuff going on with it, you can definitely you know, I feel like I can make something work out of this in the next season. But the main thing that we're going to be playing on this character is that Bone Storm and Blood Surge, right? So that's kind of what the character is about. Let's get into the guide here. First things first, this was made during the closed and open beta phases of Season 8 with the content mechanics that were available at that time. We do not have item spawners in either the closed beta or the open beta. So this is going to be just based off of previous season trends, as well as me and the boys just looking in the Endgame journal and piecing stuff together and solving puzzles. So what's changed for the build in Season 8? Mainly, there's a few buffs and nerfs going on here. Bone Storm did get a maximum point decrease. That's the AoE on the sub-skill tree. That's this right here. To get a little bit of, a little bit less AoE, a little bit less projectiles. Also, the Cyclone Bones has been buffed from 25 to 36%. That's one of the augments on Bone Storm, right? So I was using this instead of the Everlasting because honestly, yeah, it's like one click every once in a while. It's not that big of a deal, right? If you want to go like fully automated and not have to press anything, sure, go that. But this one gives you that little bit of extra deeps by having these extra Bone Storms on top of enemies that can hit stuff. Right, and you can see I have pretty good uptime on this already. Just have to click it every once in a while. So that's up to you. Everlasting Storm, the one that makes it last forever, did receive a little bit of a nerf. It's a 10% of total damage per point. Bone Barrage did get its intelligence scaling buff from 7.15 to 8.5. And Bone of Nova's got a total damage buff increase. That is the main skill that we're using, Nova Bones. So overall, you're going to have much better scaling on this skill, and the synergy that or the augment that we're using got a nice little buff. So overall, Some good buffs all the way around. Ossification also got a 1% movement speed buff. This is actually kind of a big deal, especially whenever you're leveling up, because you can use a second loadout and dump a ton of points into ossification. This will just help you move through the zones really quickly. Like you go all ossification, all vitality, and just speed through the zones so you can, get through the campaign quicker. So that's actually kind of much needed, as well as later on, whenever you have, a lot of plus skills, this will really add up. It'll make your character feel much better just running around. You don't feel like you're going to be so reliant on having to have teleport for everything. All right, so pros and cons. This character is super easy to level. You have built-in movement speed, defenses, and a mana shield buff. So if you want to play like an energy shield, mana shield character, there's options to be able to do that. It has one of the best auras in the entire game. Right, it has ominous aura. It's very strong. It has multiple % more damage multipliers. Very few characters in the game have things like this, where you can get a % multiplier from an aura and a % multiplier from just a passive. Right, these percents are not the same thing as synergies. A lot of people don't know that. Right, when you're looking at a skill, it has like a lot of the synergies below it. It's not the same thing as this. These are multipliers. So having 2 multipliers on a character is crazy. Right. You also you just have multiple late game skill choices, right? But you don't have any really built-in movement ability, like I don't have a teleport or a dash or anything like that. You're just straight movement. You have no direct damage reduction other than if you can make mana shield work. It could also be a little bit laggy whenever you get a lot of FCR, just due to the amount of stacking damage things going on. So you can experience a little bit of lag. I have a bit of a low end PC, so I feel like I lag on everything. So maybe you guys won't, but I get a little bit of lag on this character. It does compete for arcane gear, and arcane gear is fairly widely used amongst a lot of different of the classes. There are a lot of arcane casters in the game, so that is something that you will have to compete with other people if you're playing in trade or the auction house, right? All right, so how do we level the character? From 1 to 100, I have all the skill trees available. You're just going to be leveling with Bone Storm. You get access to it at level 8. Super easy. Once you hit that, you literally blast to 100. It's the easiest thing in the game. At level 16, or I would recommend maybe 40, if you want to jump into Blood Surge, you can run that instead. That is an option, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I have all the sub skill trees and skill trees available in here, so you can spec everything out. On the sub skill trees, if you're newer and don't know how these work, whenever you click this plus sign, you get a point in this every 5 character levels, right? So level 5, you'll put a point in. Level 10, you'll put a point in. All the way up until level 100, it gives you a total of 20 points. You have to be level 40 to take one of these, okay? So it's level 40, level 70, and level 100. For attributes, this character is going to be running 2 points intelligence, 2 points vitality. This is the general rule of thumb to give you enough life and enough damage. Intelligence is damage in the game. Once you get, enough life, or if you feel like you have enough life, dump all your intelligence. If you feel like you, have more than enough damage and putting more points in it wouldn't do anything, get more life so you're not falling over, right? Once you get to the end game, you do want to get to a point where you're dumping everything into intelligence. That way you can get the most amount of damage. Generally, for gearing, I have several different sections here, levelings 1 through 100, budget gear and progression gear. This will show you everything in terms of the gearing that you'll want for any point in the game. So for leveling, very important that we look for gems. These are going to be arcane gems, and we call them amethyst. I can't type. Right, these are arcane damage gems. Are extremely important for leveling. They give you a ton of extra damage. You can think of them as a base damage for your skill. So look just like these, but they'll be arcane instead. Definitely be putting these in sockets. It'll help you tremendously. As well as you can see, I've gone through and listed out affixes that you'll look for on, just rare and mythic items. So it'll be things like all skills, arcane skills, flat arcane skill damage, movement speed, life men on kill, cast rate, all that sort of stuff is super important, right? Now, in the leveling section, you can scroll down on any of these. You can see I have some rune word options. If you end up finding socketed items that you have runes for, sure, by all means, make the rune words. Not required. Same thing for satanics. I get a lot of people that will tell me you don't recommend any leveling satanics. I don't know, because there's a lot of them. There's a ton of them, and there's no way that you can target farm them or guarantee that they're going to drop. And I'm never going to tell somebody to stop and target farm a satanic for their character to be able to level it. That's crazy. This character absolutely blasts. You don't need to stop the level for any satanics. or finding satanics. If you happen to find some, fantastic, use them. It'll help you blast more. Now, when you get to level 100, there's no best in slot gear at this point. A lot of the items that I have listed in here can be swapped out, just in order for you to get through Hell 1, kill Mevius into Hell 1, unlock Satanic Zones, so you can start farming for progression and target farming items in different zones, right? So use any of these items for the most part to just beef up your character. There's a lot of different choices here at different budget levels. There's also the Thor set that can give you some additional juice, right? So that is an option as well. And yeah, progression. So target farming in season 8 is a little bit better, right? We're going to be able to actually reliably target farm some of the chase items and the heroics. I think I've wanted for a while now. So you'll see in here that I have a bunch of different like heroics and items that you'll want to go to different zones to try to target farm out. So all of these are listed in here. Star levels have also returned for season 8. If you're not familiar with star levels, check out this video. We'll give you a ton of information on this. This is going to be a bit more min-maxy, more so than progression. If you happen to find like duplicates of the same heroic, then maybe in that case, you might want to try and do some star leveling on them. But I did want to include this in here for progression gear because you can make some crazy star leveled items. So definitely give this a look so you understand how all of that works. Then from there, we have Inferno, right? These are items that you can only get from the Inferno difficulty of the game. I put them in their own tab because they're going to be much harder to get to. The bosses and some of the things you have to kill in order to drop these items are going to be much harder to obtain. So they're in their own spot for aspirational content if you're able to kill those bosses, or if you're in trade and can buy the items, whatever it may be. For relics, you can now get a 5th relic slot. You get that by completing the Fall of Darkness quest. That's killing Amun-Ra and Uber Gabriel in Hell 5. But I do have a bunch of relics listed here. It's generally the same relics that we have had in the past. There is a globe now. This will give you, they just nerfed this. This is now +5 to skills with 20% arcane skill damage at level 10. So I'll get that adjusted in here. But yeah, we do have the globe, very important. You do have an orb of chaos. This will give you a bunch of pen, so you can hit that pen cap, really important, right? If you scroll down, I do have a bunch of other relic options. If you want to get some additional life, or if you want some other utility, those are available in here as well. Generally speaking, though, you're probably going to pick between these. Potions have barely changed for Season 8. Take a look at them. They're, like magic skill damage, FCR, life flask, right, generally. For chest augments, it kind of depends on what you're running. If you're going for Bone Storm, it does have the orbit tag on it, so you can run longevity. Otherwise, Monstrosity is a good option. For Mercs, they have been fairly changed for Season 8. So you can take a look at some of their buffs and nerfs. We're not going to be going in and making some crazy Merc build, right? We're basically just going to be searching for Magic Find on these Mercs. I think it's really important for players, especially on the start of a season, to have a good amount of Magic Find to be able to target find my items and to get progression over their Mercs just having a bit more damage, right? So in Season 8, you now have access to boots, belts, and gloves on Mercs. So all the items you're going to see in here are going to be targeted towards Magic Find. As well as you can see the sections for each of the mercenaries and what skill trees I would use on them. Most likely for this build, you're going to be using the Knight Merc. You might go the Mage Merc. Just because you can get like a big magic skill damage buff. And there's a way with cooldown that you can get pretty much full uptime on this, which could be really cool. But that's going to steer away from going the Magic Find route. Completely up to you if you want to do that. I just don't have that information available currently. For hero levels, they haven't changed too much. In the top here, some of these have been changed. They're pretty strong, so definitely take a look at some of them that are up in the top. Otherwise, if you don't know how hero levels work, go watch this video. You can learn all about the hero level tree, how to spec it out, some different ways you might want to spec it out. Same thing for glyphs. They also tie into hero levels, and they're very important to tailoring how you're going to farm the game. So if you don't know what glyphs are or how to find them, that sort of thing, definitely check out this video. I have information on that. For loot filters, I will have loot filters available for every class, archetype, skill, whatever, right, available in every single one of my guides. That you just click on this link, it'll take you to a page that has all of the filters with pastebin links. You just import the strings from the pastebin links, you're good to go. Right, those will all be available. For if you need additional information, I do have a resource page on the website that will give you information on like a beginner guide or progression or mining. Any of that sort of stuff will be available on the website. Yeah, that's it. That's everything. That is the Boner, Storm, Frag, Blood Surge, Bone Nova, whatever Demonspawn. There's tons of different things you can play on this. I'm not going to be league starting this character. I had thought about league starting this character, but I think we might maybe make this as an alt once I have a couple of items to make Phelps or to make the Bone Nova work the way that I want it to. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Keep up to date with all future Hero Siege related news, content, and build guides. Come watch us live at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. We're going to be having a ton of fun on launch day, doing lots of interesting stuff. So love to see you there. Thanks, y'all.